Now, speaking of couples who hate each other and clearly need to be in therapy, we have to talk about none other than Michelle Obama. We discussed her before. Michelle Obama's hatred for her husband needs to be studied by science. Someone could do a whole semester psychiatric evaluation of Michelle Obama's hatred for her husband. And look, I'm not a fan of Barack Obama by any means, okay? The high-waisted jeans, the, smug attitude, the fact that he was a terrible president, he did nothing to help his own people. No black people think he was a great president for them. I'm not a big fan of Barack Obama, clearly, okay? Anybody who knows me right now knows this. But I don't think a man should have his wife going on every podcast and show denigrating him and emasculating him, especially after he gave her the freaking White House. Could you imagine this man gives Michelle Obama, she becomes the first lady of the United States. She gets to live in the White House, fly on private jets, fly on Air Force One, has almost everything handed to her. And she turns around and talks about how she can't stand the man. She hated being first lady. She hated doing everything. She doesn't want to go home to him. She doesn't even want to be called Mrs. Obama anymore, which we'll get to in a second. But that is who Michelle Obama is. And we actually have a clip of her on a podcast discussing how she's glad she never had a son because he would have been a mini Barack. Let's take a look.
You should have threw a boy in the mix.
I would. I'm so glad I didn't have a boy.
Yeah.
Because he would have been a Barack Obama.
It's like baby Barack. It would have been amazing.
No, I would have felt for him.
So Michelle Obama, she doesn't want to have a mini Barack. So basically the Obama name might be done with, right? Because she only has daughters. She has no sons. And then her own daughters apparently have dropped their last names too. Apparently Malia Obama doesn't even want to go by Malia Obama anymore. So once and for all, time and time again, they keep shanking Barack. So I don't feel too sorry for Barack Obama on almost anything, but having your wife and your kids go around and denigrate you on a daily basis has to be emasculating. And it's probably why we see these rumors of him dating Jennifer Aniston or going out on the town or who knows what he's doing. For a moment, I thought Barack Obama might play for my team. Who knows? But Barack Obama and Michelle Obama, clearly something is rotten in Denmark. And when your husband goes out paddleboarding with the hot chef and the hot chef doesn't come back, something might be dicey over in Martha's Vineyard in the big old mansion, But Michelle Obama, this is what she does. She sits around in her massive mansion in Martha's Vineyard and she complains about being first lady. And now she has said she's glad she didn't have a son because he would have been a mini Barack. Now, Michelle Obama, she is on vacation right now without Barack. I think she might be in the south of France. She might be over in Europe, someplace fabulous because she's making hundreds of millions of dollars from Netflix and her book deals because she's Michelle Obama. Being first lady was so hard for her, but she had no problem cashing those checks the second she left office in 2016. So Michelle Obama, she's over in Europe without her husband. Her kids, they don't want to use the Obama last name. She also said she doesn't even want to be called Mrs. Obama. And she says this is because she wants people to feel comfortable. No. If you're going around complaining about your husband, saying you're glad you don't have a son because he would have been a mini Barack, you're saying you don't want to use your last name, Mrs. Obama, something is awry. I don't know. Where there's smoke, there's fire. Something is not okay. But she knows. As much as Michelle Obama wants to denigrate her husband, she has nothing without him. I don't care what y'all want to say. We used to love Michelle Obama. She had high favorability. Everybody thought, oh, she could even run for president herself. She is famous because of who she married. Michelle Obama has hundreds of millions of dollars now because she married a man who went on to become president of the United States. This is not someone who has huge hallmark accomplishments on their own. In fact, she didn't do that much as first lady. She didn't really make any positive change. She didn't address the Black maternal health crisis or issues in her own community, which is what Black folks were hoping for when they saw Barack Obama and Michelle Obama walk into the White House January of 2009. So Michelle Obama, she doesn't want to use her last name. She doesn't want to have a son. I think something is awry, but she's not going to divorce this man because she enjoys being a part of the Democrat elite. And that is who Michelle Obama is.